Good morning.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Where'd we go?
Just minimize so you go upper left. Push the yellow button.
There we go. Okay. Like this is a Mac.
All right. Kurt Ardema,
Here.
Dave Buskirk, Gilbert Calver, Greg Hamlink,
Here.
Nikki Miller, Cecile Much.
Here.
Nikki Miller, I didn't hear you.
Here.
Eric Rankin,
Here.
Mark Weiss,
Here.
and James Woodruff.
Here.
And Dave, just do Dave again.
Dave Buskirk.
Not yet.
Did it. Click there.
There we go. Here.
All right.
Okay, item number 3, approval of Aeronautics Board minutes from May 28th, 2020. Can I have a motion for approval?
It's not showing my picture.
I'll make the motion for approval.
It'll
Support.
Relax.
Support.
Hear you. It's fine.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Overwhelming. Minutes approved. I don't have my little speech but I can tell you that it's time for public comments, and anybody having a public comment, please step forward and make them. Otherwise, hold your peace. No, hearing no public comments. Financial report.
Jim, Dave here.
Hi, Dave.
Can the host please allow my pictures? She's got me blocked for some reason.
Oh, well, Dave, I think there's a good reason for that.
Oh, shut up.
It's done on purpose.
That's all right. Go ahead. I don't need to be seen.
Looks like you have your camera covered.
No.
Oh, maybe I do.
You're funnier.
Turn it around so it's pointing at you.
Don't have anything to do it. Right.
It might come up. Give it a
Yeah.
second.
And it's showing that it should be there. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, Dave, but
Don't worry about it.
on our end.
Tell them if they don't care, keep going.
Okay, financial report while Buster figures out what he's doing.
Okay. Good morning. In your packets are the April and May financial statements. May marks 41% of the way through the year. Our operating revenues through May are at 19.9% of the budget. This is the largest area that's impacted by the pandemic, being our operating revenues. And that's why our operating revenues are so far off from the budget. And this report reflects revenues anticipated to be abated through the stakeholder support program. So those revenues are backed out from this report. Operating expenses are at just under 40% of approved budget before depreciation. All areas of operating expenses are in line with expectations for this point in the year. A couple notes. Next month at the August meeting, I will be presenting the 2019 annual report. The county's audited financials were just finally finalized. So I'll have that next month. And on Monday, we're meeting with the Finance Committee regarding the 2021 budget. Any questions?
Quick question. It says that the total operating revenues are at 19% year to date.
Mhm.
If we were to take the deficit of that and extrapolate it out, what are we talking about annual loss? What kind of money? Is there a dollar value you can put on that?
Not off the top of my head, but I can put something together and send it out to you.
The idea is just what are we running as a deficit compared to budget because of the pandemic? Is there a single dollar number you can give me?
Okay. I'll put something together and send it out.
Okay, thank you.
What about the 19 million from the federal government? Is that something we have received or something that's just been promised?
The agreement has been executed now, and I'm working through how to submit reimbursement requests. So it's reimbursement. So I'll put together some requests over time and send those in. And that's a good question. That $19 million is not reflected in this report.
And when we reflect it, how are you going to, you're just going to put in a line item for it?
It will be a separate line item, and it will most likely be a non-operating revenue. But I do want to keep it separate from our other federal revenue for transparency.
But it goes specifically towards a request, I assume. And so if the request is for parking, for instance,
Mhm.
will it fall under that line in your statement of revenues and expenses?
No, it should fall under the non-operating revenue as a separate line item, separate from the regular federal funding that we receive.
Okay, so, but I think we should identify when the amounts come in, we should identify what the request was for.
Okay.
So in
Any other questions?
Amanda, so in essence, we'll have a non-operating income broken down by categories that will correspond with where the requests were sent for reimbursement. Could that include even, well, payroll is covered by the county, or is that, no, we would cover payroll. Could you make a payroll request for reimbursement?
We can make requests for anything to operate the airport. So it could be any of the operating categories you see on here: administration, airfield, terminal, parking, security. It could be for any of those.
Okay. Okay.
Did we receive some PPP monies?
No.
I was happy with the 19 million. I wasn't asking for any more.
I'm just trying to be greedy.
Okay. That's fine.
Buy your own mask, Jim.
Okay, any other questions for Amanda? Can I have a motion to accept the financial report as presented?
I'll motion.
Support?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye, please.
Aye.
Financial report is passed. For item 6 is for consideration. There are no consent agenda items. Airport non-consent agenda items. Drobny?
This request is to approve and authorize the chair to sign a land use agreement with Drobny Farms. As you'll remember, they farm the 68 acres that we purchased from Pfizer a while ago. And we do an annual contract with them in case, just to keep our flexibility there. So this agreement is the same as last year, $150 per acre, 68 acres, for a lump sum of $10,200.
Is it a fixed amount, the 68 acres? And the only reason I asked is because looking over some of the minutes from previous, I saw one year it was 64.
Correct. 1 year at 64. We kept 4 acres off at the request of the Air Zoo for an event that they were doing for parking.
Okay.
Every other year it has been 68 acres, but yes, that 1 year we did reduce it a little bit.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The other question I always ask, is it a corn or a soybean year? Do you know?
It is a corn year this year.
It's a corn year, okay.
I think I usually ask this question too, but just the liability for any fertilizers or chemicals or anything like that happening, is that covered via the document?
I would have to check on that. I don't have the contract in front of me. I'd have to check on that one.
Okay, it's just worth consideration going forward. We've just, on farm leases, sometimes you see chemicals applied and other things, and just want to make sure we're covered there from a contamination standpoint.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion for acceptance of the Drobny Farm Land Use Agreement?
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think we need to do a roll call
We have to
vote.
do a roll call.
No.
Oh,
Kurt Ardema,
Yes.
Dave Buskirk,
Yes.
Greg Hamlink,
Yes.
Nikki Miller,
Yes.
Cecile Much,
aye.
Eric Rankin,
Yes.
Mark Weiss,
Yes.
James Woodruff.
Yes. Okay, item B on the non-consent agenda is extension of the custodial agreement. Is that Eric?
Yes, sir. Good morning. So I am requesting the approval for the chair to sign the extension of the service agreement with United Commercial Services for the custodial services provided here at the airport. We are at the end of the original 2-year agreement, and the original 2-year agreement had 2 1-year options for extensions. So this will be the first option to extend that original contract from 2018. Payments of $13,782 will occur on a monthly basis, with the total of the 1-year extension agreement of $165,388. There's actually no cost adjustment year to year. The 4-year cost structure was submitted with the original bid in 2018, so there's no differences in cost from the original to the extension years. And just as a side note, the UCS has been really good through the pandemic, and gotten multiple compliments from our airline tenants and tenants that have had to remain in the terminal working through everything. They've been well attended, and they've been able to keep their staffing at the required level. So we've been pretty happy with that, and they've done a good job communicating their measures to control and disinfect, and said they're available for response in case we ever get a confirmed report of it being in the terminal. So they've got a lot of good stuff in place, and I definitely would recommend the extension. So, any questions?
Questions for Eric?
So with the extension, there's not, like, they're not requesting any additional things like to cover the additional costs related to COVID-19 or anything like that. They're fine with keeping it the same.
That's correct. Yeah, I've asked multiple times if we would see any sort of even just operational adjustments to it, and they said no. They've been covering any other additional like type of disinfectants, the required ones. They've just been substituting what they had on site with the recommended one that would supposed to kill the coronavirus. So there's only one thing that they're looking into purchasing a disinfected fog sprayer, hydrostatic sprayer, to be on site here at the airport. we may see a reflection in that, but it would just be a one-time purchasing cost. Can't remember how much it was, not that much. Pretty cheap, so.
And if there is that fraud, or is that something we could submit for reimbursement from the CARES Act? And
Yeah. Yes. I'm being told yes.
Is the fogger, if it's purchased, if it's funded by the airport, I assume it belongs to the airport then, not UCS?
That would be correct. It would stay on site.
Okay. Thanks.
Any further questions? So can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hang on, we need a roll call vote.
Again?
Yeah, each non-consent. And who motioned for the approval?
I did.
Dave.
Dave.
Who second?
Eric.
Who supported? Eric, okay, all right, sorry. Kurt Ardema,
Yes.
Dave Buskirk,
Yes.
Greg Hamlink,
Yes.
Nikki Miller,
Yes.
Cecile Much,
Yes.
Eric Rankin,
Yes.
Mark Weiss,
Yes.
and James Woodruff.
Yes. Okay. Item C on the non-consent agenda is the extension of parking services.
This request is to approve the first of two available one-year extensions to the parking services contract. There's no changes in the terms or conditions of the contract being requested, just the one-year extension to their contract.
Wait, there's no free parking included?
That would,
This month, though.
Yeah.
Free right now.
Where's when you need her?
Are there any questions?
quick question for Amanda or Eric. Have there been any complaints regarding our parking service other than no free parking, but
No, not that I'm aware of. Eric's shaking his head. No.
no problems, all's well?
One confused customer, but other than that, no.
Yeah. Occasionally some confused passengers, but otherwise it's
That's to be expected, I would think.
operationally they do a great job.
Okay.
Okay, can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And support?
I'll support.
And a roll call vote.
Kurt Ardema,
Yes.
Dave Buskirk,
Yes.
Greg Hamlink,
Yes.
Nikki Miller,
Yes.
Cecile Much,
Yes.
Eric Rankin,
Yes.
Mark Weiss,
Yes.
James Woodruff.
Yes. The last non-consent item is an agreement for the development of a strategic plan.
Yes. Thank you, Jim. As we've been discussing pretty much all year, the visioning statement, and certainly we've been pushed by the fact that we can't get together as a board, but I still want to move forward with the background work. We had discussed early on about an individual who's worked with other entities in the county, Peter Dams and Associates. I got a statement of work for strategic planning services from him. I'd really like to move forward. The statement of work was included in your board packet, so you could work through it if you had any questions for me. It's pretty much a cut and dry plan that would review where we're at and give us a plan moving forward. Again, it doesn't have any specific dates or anything like that because as of right now, we can't gather as a board. So I haven't even tried to set up a date to replace as a replacement. So The amount is $10,500 for the contract, and looking for board approval for chairman's signature.
Any questions?
I just I can add a couple things if you'd like. At Western, we've worked with Peter Dams before. I've sat through several of his strategic planning review sessions and thought they were very, very good. Peter's very good at keeping things flowing and keeping things focused. And the hours that I've spent in his meeting, I thought were very productive.
And I've had similar experience with the Metro Award, CCTA and KCTA, as we were in the middle of forming the new CCTA entity and in a lot of transition with that organization. We worked with Peter's team to help us do some visioning, both short-term and long-term, and thought they were both very effective. I think we had maybe 3 sessions with Peter, and I know John Gisler, you may have been in on some of those as well, but I thought it was productive and efficient and gave us good vision, and the results have been successful as well.
So I guess I just have a question. I see there's 35 hours as part of the agreement. Was that something that he came up with? Something you guys discussed mutually to say, hey, that's probably a good amount of time to go through it?
We had a couple phone calls and discussions on it, really just to kind of get us focused, and also out of consideration for your guys' schedules. Like originally he had 2 meetings in there for the full board, and I thought that was going to be difficult enough under normal circumstances. So, and with everything that's going on, so we boiled it down. Some of the preliminary legwork will be done by conversations with staff as well. So it didn't, again, wanted to reduce the total amount of time that he would spend, but also the total amount of time that the board would have to meet in person.
Okay, thank you.
And this is something that can certainly be requested for reimbursement from the CARES Act, correct?
Yes, as really any legal expense is reimbursable.
Good.
Are there any further comments? So can I have a motion for support? Approval?
I'll make the motion.
Support?
I'll support.
I think we need another roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Here comes Jessica.
Kurt Ardema,
Yes.
Dave Buskirk,
Yes.
Greg Hamlink,
Yes.
Nikki Miller,
Yes.
Cecile Much,
Yes.
Eric Rankin,
Yes.
Mark Weiss,
Yes.
James Woodruff.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Moving along, item 7 is unfinished business. Is anybody have any unfinished business? New business, any new business? Hearing none, we'll move right to the director's report.
All right. I apologize. Some of this might be redundant in the sense that I work really hard to make sure you guys are updated between meetings. But I'll go through some of this stuff again, just in case we need it and maybe more for the record. So COVID-19 update, we're slowly returning to normal. We have a little bit of normalcy in the office. We're now following the county guidance, and we're employees. We don't have to have our temperature checked each time we enter the building, which is good because we're consistently at 97 point fill in the blank for all of our staff since about March. So we're going well through there. We did receive 13,000 face masks through the FAA from FEMA. Again, as I stated in my report, we didn't ask for them. They just told us one day via an email that you're getting 13,000 masks. So we have them, and they're being used even now.
Craig, do you mind?
Yes, Mark.
Sorry to interrupt, but what type of masks are they? Are they N95 respirators, or are they simply face masks?
No, they're just cloth face masks. It's funny because they're all Hanes. So it's imagine putting a couple of straps on your t-shirts. That's what they feel like on your mouth. They're actually they're kind of soft, I have to admit that. Some of the things that I've been focusing a lot on marketing and getting ready for some things. In my last report, I said I'd have something to the board for marketing. I'll address that in a second for a firm. But I've been working on some of the media and developing the media contacts list. So we have so we can get more proactive with press releases. So I've got the list, and thanks to anybody who's connected to Southwest Michigan first, they were very helpful. So I didn't have to recreate the wheel. They shared their media list with me, which was very helpful. So I'm a big proponent of getting press releases out there and telling our story so that we don't have to get behind the 8 ball and have others tell it for us. So I sent a press release out last week, and as relevant information that's good for the airport and good for the public to know, I'll make sure those get out. And obviously you'll see those as well. You're on the listing. Just real quick, the CNN piece. You guys saw the CNN piece and the link there. I thought that was it was nice. It was interesting to have him around for the day, and good. At least anytime you can showcase the airport is a good thing. So I was happy we did that. I had mentioned in my last report that Roger was retiring on the 20th of this month. That has been pushed back to allow time for his replacement to be selected. As you know, our officers are through the county, and so finding his replacement has been a little bit of a challenge with everything that's going on for the sheriff's department. So he has pushed his retirement to October. So this is the third time he's tried to retire. As I told him this morning, he's doing a horrible job retiring. So maybe he'll get better at it by fall. And then I just wanted to say an early congrats to Eric. He's going to be a first-time father here, hopefully before the next board meeting. Either that or his wife is really going to make it difficult for him after July 20th. So those are the kind of things that have been going on at the airport here. May numbers are in. I shared those 800 passengers. We don't have July numbers yet because today's the 9th. They don't have to report until the 10th. So I'd say June numbers. Today's the 9th of July and they don't have to report till the 10th. The good news for us is that Delta is now flying 3 flights a day as of the 6th. American is flying 2 flights a day, and that's in their schedule loaded at least through August. Again, all this really is hinging. They're basically doing month-to-month schedules, and it's hinging on passenger response and coming back. So we'll see how that happens or how that grows. United's pullback began on the 7th. They're still in the system for October 1. We'll see what happens. Everyone who asks, I say I will be confident when I see an airplane on October 1st. Because you just want to make sure that it's out there. This is again, they're doing month-to-month schedules to see how things are looking on the planning. You know that if you didn't see the news, United did a big potential release, a layoff notice for about, I believe it was 36,000. Eric would probably know better, about 36,000 employees across system-wide. So that's a big pullback, and we'll see how the others respond as they approach October 1st. So we're keeping an eye on that. Let's see. In my last board update, I mentioned a marketing agreement that I'd like to come to the board. Since I sent that to you guys and today, I decided to post it as a request for qualifications so we can identify a marketing firm to work with. And that way we can have a firm that we can work with consistently, as opposed to the original plan was just to have somebody help us with a couple pieces. We've got a lot going on. We've got a big transition. We've got opportunities moving forward. I thought it would be good to have one firm to work with, and I wanted to give everybody the opportunity who may be interested to submit on that. And that RFQ is out on the street. It's on the county's website right now for everybody. And that way, if there was any issues, at least the process was clear and transparent. Airport finance, again, Amanda went through the information. We're having a finance committee meeting on Monday afternoon. Staff is meeting after this meeting for another meeting. I think on the finance, I just want to read a letter that I received from Duncan Aviation. I think it is consistent across the board as it relates to the stakeholder support plan. And I just wrote, I am writing to thank you, your staff, and the Aeronautics Board for passage of the Airport Stakeholder Support Plan, abates fees from April through December of 2020. Duncan Aviation appreciates the help as we seek to weather the pandemic and emerge in a position to continue our successful association with the Kalamazoo International Airport. We value our partnership with AZO over the past 53 years, and this gesture will help us to continue on for many successful years to come. I've heard, Eric's heard, Amanda's heard various iterations of this letter as we've shared the vote of the board last month. And again, I thank you for that. Each airline that I spoke with was very thankful. I'll quote them, one of them as, this is going to make a big difference is how we view Kalamazoo moving forward. And again, you need every little thing that you can in your pocket to help secure air service, especially right now. So I think that's a big thing, and I thank you for that. In August 5th, I believe, is our Part 139 inspection. That's a big day for everybody on operations. So I anticipate good things out of that. It's historically been good. And I've been impressed with what I've seen from operations during my short tenure here. Runway 1735 extension project is moving forward. Eric's doing great work as a project manager to lead that going through. Dave, if you read your community newsletter for Millwood, you saw we had an update in there. John edited it down, but it is his newsletter, and I'll allow him to do what he needs to do. But we want to be proactive in reaching out to the community and let them know what's going on. So I've heard no complaints, and we've had a couple nice emails of people asking for status reports. And my thought process is give it to them, but also give it to John so he can talk to the community as a whole. With that, I don't have anything else, but any questions from you, I'm happy to entertain.
I have a couple of questions, Craig.
Sure.
With United, how much notice do they need to give the airport if they're not going to be planning on returning?
I don't believe they have to give us any notice because we do rates and charges by resolution.
Okay.
So we do it different. We would probably find out at least 30 days in advance because they're doing the schedules, a month out. For example, we know the August schedules for Delta and American because we got those was it Sunday? I think we got them Sunday. So I would say 30 days, probably no less than 30 days, but probably no more either.
Okay. And then my other question is, when talking with the different, tenants of the airport that also have, stations at other airports, has any other airport done what we've done to help out, with the, and I forget the name of it, but what we passed at the last meeting?
So the short answer is I've heard of no airport that's done it with the generosity that we have. There are others that have abated a couple months. The popular one with a lot of airports, especially the bigger airports, is to defer payment. So you don't have to give us money, but my collection agents will be there on January 1st or whatever date they set to get my money. I do know, and for example, the Duncan Aviation was a good one because I have a really good friend who's the airport director in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he called me up and said, please explain your stakeholder support plan, because Duncan just contacted me and said Kalamazoo was very gracious in helping them. So I know that our tenants are communicating with their peers at other airports.
Okay, thank you.
Craig, 2 questions. Are we seeing the occupancy, the loads start to creep back up I mean, I know we don't have June numbers yet, but are you maybe even anecdotally seeing more people come to the terminal with the additional flights?
I can't tell you the additional flights just because they started the 6th. The data we get, obviously once a month we get true data from the airlines, but we're getting weekly data from TSA on how many people are being screened through the checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And I track that, and I have a nerdy spreadsheet that I use to track us and how we're doing versus the national trend as well. We're tracking behind the national trend, but we're increasing almost daily. Each week we see the numbers that the TSA sends us. A month ago we were averaging about 30 passengers or 30 people screened a day. Now we're in the 60s, and the last couple of weeks have been, we've had days that are 100, but averaging probably in the 70s. Again, we're at a point where you're I'll call statistically full, in the sense that the number of seats that they're selling, number of seats that are available, we're looking to be about 80% full. Now I say about because I'm basing all this on TSA throughput numbers, not actual airline data. So I'm hoping and praying that the flexibility on the flights will really help. I know anecdotally, I have some friends who have not been able to fly just because the way the departures here line up with some of the connecting banks. And I see Nikki and Cecile nodding their heads as well. So hopefully those additional flights will allow more people who want to fly out of here, and I know there's a lot who do, will have that flexibility.
Yeah, I think that makes a big impact. Having that afternoon, evening, having that, at least with Delta, having the 3 during the day makes a difference, and American having a second flight makes a difference too. My second question is Minneapolis, and when do you anticipate that coming back from Delta? If you had any dialogue with them on that?
Yeah, it's loaded in the system to come back August. I don't know the exact date, but I'm going to say the 1st, but it could be the 2nd or 3rd or something like that.
Okay, that's a good sign. I would say
is a good sign.
They've got that loaded. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Nothing further. So item 10 is member time. Nikki?
Nothing to add right now.
Eric?
Just a question for Craig. I had a neighbor who is trying to get a seaplane base on Austin Lake, and I guess he submitted something to the state about a year ago, and he was just inquiring to me if you had heard anything about it as of yet.
I'm looking at Eric, and he's shaking his head no. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would have came through our zoning website. Maybe we can follow up with Len just to see. We'll follow up just to see if there's been anything
Okay.
on that. Normally, if that happened and given the proximity to the lake to our approach, as you know, we
Yeah.
would we'd get notice there.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't seen anything, and Eric was nodding his head no.
Okay, thank you.
Kurt, anything?
Just appreciate the continued hard work, and I know it's a challenging situation, and the staff is doing a great job and navigating it. So appreciate that. And maybe just one last question: Craig, are we doing any promotional press release information as flights are added? I know United's changes and Delta's initial request were in the media. Is there a benefit in having some sort of media exposure for flights coming back?
So the answer is yes. I did a press release on June 30th that got out there. I don't know who picked it up. I know Channel 17 picked it up, a Fox station. It's on the list. I don't know where that channel is, to be honest. It's Grand Rapids. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, I did a press release on the 30th to the world. Basically, anybody who's on Southwest Michigan's mailing list is now on the airport's mailing list.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
Mark, anything?
Nope, nothing to add. Other than at Western, we're dealing with landscape employees working outdoors in the coming very high temperatures and some of the safety situation associated with that. I'm assuming, do we have a protocol as it relates to at a certain temperature, our landscaping or our ground crew people either curtail work or work less or work different hours? Are you aware of anything?
I'm looking to my expert. Yeah, it says nothing formally is in there, more just guidance to make sure you keep yourself cool and take
and
normal
normal
breaks.
policy works, obviously. You just keep employees hydrated. I was just wondering if we had something like that because it's supposed to be very hot.
Nothing that I'm aware of, but yeah. So yeah, I mean we provide them Gatorade and that kind of stuff.
Gatorade's good. Okay,
yes.
Nothing else.
Okay.
John, before you leave,
thank you, Jim. Yes, I'll give you a quick update on things going on at the county. We're still meeting virtually as this meeting is. We had a few things significant this last time around. First of all, it lasted 4 hours and 56 minutes. I was so glad that I didn't have a half-hour drive to get home after that. We did have our chair, Julie Rogers, step down, and I think it would have naturally happened anyway. Tracy Hall stepped up. She's been the vice chair. So we filled the vice chair slot behind her with Mike Seals. Mike's a good guy. You guys know him. He and I came to the board back in 2010 together. And even though we don't always see eye to eye, we're still pretty good friends. And so I think that's a good move for the county. There was a report, and I don't know how much of it had been coming through your ears, that our clerk was not doing what needed to be done for the citizenry. And Tim Snow, bless his heart, came down and faced the music. And there were a few things that he said he would do better and do differently next time around. Hopefully there is no COVID-19 next time around. But I think everybody came away from his explanation indicating that he's doing just about everything he can with the people he's got, with the resources he has. And the big complaint that we were hearing was CPLs were being bogged down. I don't know if any of you experienced that or had neighbors or friends or relatives, but that should be all taken care of. And it was mainly hinging on doing fingerprinting. The fingerprinting, I believe, has to be done by a police agency in the county. And the sheriff was out of that business 5 or 6 years ago. And neither Western nor Kalamazoo Township, who were the fallback folks, they wanted nothing to do with it right now. So the sheriff agreed to step back up and begin processing fingerprints. And that took a little bit of the heat off Tim. The county building is open Monday through Friday now from 9 to 3. Call ahead though, if you're gonna talk to any particular office, make sure that they're in because they're trying to work with a skeleton crew. And if indeed they cannot stay staffed through that whole 9 to 3 period, they may be closed from noon to 1. I thought I had one other item, but I don't see it here, so sign me off with that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Greg, anything for you?
Maybe just a follow-up to Craig's conversation earlier about the letter from Duncan on the CARES Act funding. So to add to that, Duncan also passed that along to their tenants, Craig, as well. So we saw that as a tenant. So we're seeing the result of what we passed last month. So again, a good job there, and again, it's appreciated.
Thanks.
Cecile?
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is that, Kellogg had started moving our salespeople throughout North America. And then when some of the quarantines were reinstated for when you get there, you have to stay in place 14 days. Or if you're going to Chicago, you have to stay there 14 days. We had to cancel a meeting. We were getting 20 of our technical people together, and because of the local COVID policies, we had to cancel that. So it's not for the want of trying to travel out of Kalamazoo. And, we were very appreciative of Delta coming back with the additional flights, but there are some extenuating circumstances as to why corporations can't get back on the road. Just a comment.
Thank you. David, anything? Mr. Photogenic?
Nothing, thank you. And Craig, you're right. I've heard nothing but good things from the neighbors so far. So
Good. That's nice.
All right, any further comments from anybody? I have nothing. I guess we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.